Hey everybody, it's your girl Bunny. To all of my returning subscribers, hey, how you doing? And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. Kick your feet up, subscribe to this family-friendly channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you don't miss any posts. Also follow me on Instagram at the same profile name so you don't miss the sneak peeks of what's coming up next. In this video, it's season 2, episode 5, entitled Visions. I give a full episode recap with photos offset to the side, and then I give my review at the end. No need to dig around. I have all of the mini marks in the comments. It's all coming up next. The episode starts off fire by showing emphasis on the microphone, the tick of the bass line, and the treble beginning from the slums of Charlotte. You know we got the introduction of everybody from the Wu-Tang clan, and then we hear METHOD, man. Before we can really enjoy everything, before the beat drops, we gotta talk about contracts. And they look through it and they're like, man, this contract is really, really thick. I mean, what does this say? What you want from us, man? Bobby makes it plain. I need 5 years of your life. Revisit 12 hours earlier to catch the developments before we even got to this point. Vaughn and Bobby wait on an important meeting with the lawyer. Vaughn is worried because it's the same lawyer that handled the information with the Prince Rakeem record label, Mr. Wagner. Bobby and Vine want to incorporate Wu-Tang Productions. They need a trademark, a logo, because this would allow profits from any promotion that would benefit the company. Apparel, merchandise, posters, album covers, flyers, or anything else. The pro forma needs to be completed in its entirety. There are 8 names listed that will receive shares. The lawyer suggests that the shares shouldn't be divided in 8 different ways, but Bobby says that the mandates got in the way last time of the creative and performance decisions. He wants the shares generated equally. There's more legal suggestion that he set everything up under an LLC to protect everything in case things go bad. Each member will have to sign individual contracts. Bobby makes a cash payment and the plans move forward. As they leave, they cross paths with Chris. As they make small talk, Divine sees a janitor scraping gum off of the floor, reminding him of his past jobs and his growth so far. Chris volunteers to play some of their music at the tunnel. All he needs is Bobby just to leave a tape with him and some info. But Vine realizes that he doesn't have the time to share information because he's out of business cards. Bobby gave the lawyer all the cash that he had left, and the #1 priority is to get everyone to sign on the dotted line. Bobby compliments Divine on how he researched everything, how he read the books thoroughly, and how prepared he was during the meeting. Divine says he felt very confident in understanding all of the language during the meeting, but the only verbiage that went over his head was performa. What does that mean anyway? The next hurdle is to build the studio. This will give them the opportunity to record independently and not have to pay a studio. The booth will be set up to fit at least 2 performers at a time. This will give them the freedom to take their destinations into their own hands. Raekwon makes a note that renovations could destroy the apartment lease, but Bobby wants to press forward. There's still tension between Quan and Dennis, so the work environment is already hot. On top of that, they need an active phone landline. Power gets top-of-the-line recording equipment and doesn't even understand what half of the equipment is for anyway. All he knows is he needs to keep up his end of the bargain by getting the equipment needed for the studio. He quickly learns that this equipment is not cheap, over $19,000 to be exact. But in Power's language, 2 bricks, cash. Building continues and Cherie is on her way with the baby. Quan and Dennis are sharing an electric outlet back and forth and back and forth. Dennis needs to finish building a crib and Quan is just focused on building a studio setup. A sign arrives with crates, but crates with the eggs. Bobby's like, man, you got the crates, but we don't need all the eggs. I need crates for a studio. You can buy crates without having the eggs in it, man. I need you to go back and get crates. Gary tries to activate the landline that will belong to Wu-Tang Productions, but there's a $500 balance that belongs to the previous tenant. The company needs proof of the current resident to dispute the charges. The outlets are so overwhelmed in the apartment, unfortunately, everything short circuits, but just not in their unit, the entire building. As Divine preps paperwork, Nia convinces her dad to let him wear the suit for just a little bit longer. Matt stops by and he has some logos, but the images are a little bit graphic, and he took taking heads off a little bit too literal. Vine explains that they're trying to start a business and they need a logo that's universal that everybody can recognize. Matt can go back to the drawing board, but he demands that, hey, I need double the fee. Everyone is still building and they're enjoying being busy. Power arrives with the equipment, but there's only one mic. They need two to do skits. He sees Power's frustrations when he kicks a box, but tells him, thank you for everything that you're doing. They overhear an argument in the hallway. The building manager arrives because she wants to know what's going on with the power outage. Everyone has to be quiet because if she sees the renovations, they can get evicted. She asks Bobby about what's going on, and he says that, hey, I just moved in. I have no idea. She hears a noise in the apartment, and just in the nick of time to sway attention, Asan arrives with the crates. He says that he knows the super and he can hook her up in making sure that the power is fixed. It's quick hustle of the tongue, and she shows him to the box to cut the power back on. Shotgun shoots some craps with the fellas and his little baby brother Poppy. Poppy says that he heard that Bobby even changed his rap name from Rakim to the RZA now, and also they're working on music and if they'll work together. Inspector thanks Shotgun for his bail money and takes a moment to get caught up on what he's missed since he's been locked up. He learns that D-Lover is no longer and now goes by Ghostface Killer. On top of that, he's in the same room with Quan. You guys says, yeah, you know, RZA, he made him squash all that beef. They all laugh and Inspector can't believe what he's hearing. In the midst of them laughing, they hear shots pop out. They all take cover, but then they notice, unfortunately, that Poppy has been caught in the crossfire. He's not responsive, and it's evident that he's deceased. Later on, the fellas stop by Bobby's house, but they bring unfortunate news. They learn that the bullet wasn't even meant for Poppy. He just got caught in the crossfire. They all reflect how, at one point in their lives, they all could have been in his shoes, but for some reason, they were able to pull through. Bobby reminds everybody that we're all we got, we're all brothers, and we can do what we need to do to press forward. Shotgun starts more writing, and everybody continues their work. Dennis learns that he put the springs on backwards, and now he has to start all over again, making him even more frustrated because Cherie is already at the train station, and time is running out. The power is out, there's no phone, and everything keeps piling up. Back at Nia's, we got Vine, Math, and Power, and they're debating about logos. Vine is like, look man, Rolling Stone has that red tongue, and everyone knows that's simple without words. Math has been working on a logo for weeks, and Power is frustrated. Like, why do they need to invest in a logo? Vine says, look, man, I understand that you're frustrated, but think of this as a business. We need that logo to go along with the company, and the logo will go on the cover of the album. Think about it like this, man. You're the executive producer. You'll be the first one to get paid anyway when we blow up. So can you please pay Matt to create the logo so he can give it to me, so I can give it to the lawyer, so they can get everything for the pro forma tomorrow? Power says, look, man, I can't because I'm broke. Divine is like, okay, we need to talk in private. As they go to the other room, Bobby arrives and finds out that Matt hasn't got paid for anything that he's come up with. Bobby says, look, man, why don't you just simplify everything? And you know this money that I got, it was for the rent, but here you go, man. He's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, just keep brainstorming. The apartment manager and the son, they're still in the basement talking about everything, talking about music, what his stage name is. He says that he's going to go by Old Dirty Bastard because no one has fathered his style. And the manager finds that silly because isn't that like Weird Al? Something to be made fun of? He's like, no, this is nothing to be made fun of. I'm not trying to be silly. That's really my stage name. She finds a light bulb and says, oh, El Gran Niño Jesus. And he's like, yeah, I like that name. El Gran Niño Jesus. Things couldn't get any worse. Now the fellas are forced to have candles all over the place so they can see. Everybody's frustrated. There's no phone. They don't have no blunt. Now everybody's just slowly leaving. What's the point in staying, right? We don't have anything to work with. Bobby tries to convince everybody to stay. Like, can you just wait a few more minutes? Maybe the power can come back on. As they're all Eventually, at this point, almost at the door, voila, the power is back on. Now Bobby can play the beat and Method gets in the booth to lay down his verse. Everybody's amped up. Everybody's encouraging him to keep going. And Divine and Power arrive with the business. And he's super nervous about getting everybody's signatures. It's time to stop the music and talk about paperwork. Asan and the manager enjoy a blunt and she learns that his real name is Russell. And then says, you know what? I like Old Dirty Bastard better. Gary continues to call the operator and responds, "Peace, God." If the operator gets confused about the statement to say back, he hangs up. Once he gets a response of "Peace, God" back, he begins to tell them that, hey, this is a phone line we're trying to develop. The charges is from the previous tenant. I need this line to be active immediately. This is for a new business that we're trying to create. There's a pause, and the phone operator says, "Give me the account number." And he tells him it's 235-834 Wu-Tang Productions. They now have an active business phone line. Dennis and Cherie arrive with the baby and she is exhausted for being on the bus for hours. Dennis notices that the crib is put together properly and learns that Quan put it together. And there's slight eye contact of appreciation. Cherie notices all the people and the music, the weed, and it's just all too much. And she's on the verge of tears. They talk in the hall and there's no other choice but to tough this out. And if they get their own apartment, they'll deplete all of their savings within 2 months. Dennis says that he's really trying and he needs her to tough it out and just wait in the hallway so I can go in here and listen to the business side of what they're trying to say. Bobby and Vine proceed to tell everybody the details when it comes to the contract. Every contract is the same. They'll all be signed to Wu-Tang Productions as a group and individual artists. What that means is that if they have a solo album, they can still stay a part of Wu-Tang. They want to create a business, and in order to do that, there has to be a contract. He needs time, control, trust, and with that, everybody will be on top, and they can change the entire industry. The contracts are confusing, and collectively, they don't know what's going on. They're asking about, you want control? You saying you want 5 years of my life? And he says, look, man, think about it. I've been in a situation contractually that didn't work out. We just built everything in this studio. Think of the contract are the screws that are keeping everything together. If we try to do something and the foundation is messed up, then we can't proceed. The contract is what we need in order to make this work. Slowly, one by one, everyone starts to sign their contracts. Shotgun then re-enters the booth. Everyone signs, but Gary feels that his word is his bond. Devon gets frustrated, but Bobby keeps him calm with a little pat on the back, as if to say non-verbally, we'll take care of that later. Cherie has left the hallway. She's over it, and Dennis is at his end. Cherie arrives at Nia's place, and Nia can see the desperation in her eyes and invites her in. The next morning, the fellas contemplate their hardships and if and when they'll make it. Bobby says, yeah, man, we'll make it. We just gotta keep going. Bobby, Vine, and Power take to Chris to play at the club. Chris is loving it, but says, hey, man, I can't play this. They're frustrated because they can't understand. They just spent a lot of money on top of the line equipment. Chris explains that the audio levels are too low. If he plays it at the club, it'll sound like it's playing through a phone. He shows them the difference in levels and what's required. In order to get that quality sound, they must record in the studio or at least get it mixed and mastered at one. Power is so frustrated that he leaves the room, and there's a directorial emphasis on that studio reservation for P. Collins. Vine and Bobby, they talk about funding and how much time is wasting away. There's no more money to put into anything, especially studio time. They're so broke that they're eating Chinese food and they only had enough money to get one egg roll. There's a knock at the door, and it's Power. Power tells them that it's all of his money that's all in that equipment. Everything in that room. He's invested so much. Bobby and Vine think that everything is about to turn for the worse, because he has the vibe like he wants all the stuff back. But Power opens a bag and dumps money on the ground, telling him that he said that he was all in and that he believes in them. That to make the sound and those levels high so it can be bumping in the clubs. Vine is like, man, I don't understand, man. I thought you were broke. Power's like, hey, man, I sold my whip. And they all breathe a sigh of relief because now they have a chance. Matt stops by to show Bobby his final finesses, that he simplified things, and if he likes it. And this time, it's perfect. Hell yeah. And that is the end of the episode. Now it is time for your favorite part of the video. That's right, my review. This episode has so much energy in it. It was ridiculous. If you're a fan, you know that the tea kettle is boiling, it's bubbling, and it's only a matter of time before the whistle blows and the steam pours over. So it's just this anxious eagerness to get to what we know as fans. But I love that the writing is showing all of the business behind what they were trying to do. The genius of understanding the business of it all is something that you can applaud. Even if you're not a fan, you have to applaud RZA. You have to applaud everybody that assisted him when it came to the business part of it, because that's what creates longevity. And I think that's what they wanted the viewers to see. The process in longevity. You have this dream, you have this force behind you to just keep going, this hunger, but you gotta talk about contracts. You gotta talk about business, because we have individuals that have been in that situation with Bobby, with the Prince Rakeem, in that situation not working out, and him telling the lawyer that because of the creative differences and because of control, there was really nothing that I could do when it came to me being creative and me putting certain beats or doing certain things in that whole experience. So this time we're going to backpedal a little bit. We're going to slow down and we're going to do this the right way. It showed the hardships of the power being out and the flan line. We have the frustrations with Cherie and Dennis. All of this stuff brewing at the same time. Here is the genius of the writing and making sure that it's communicated to the audience well. It's very difficult to show 8 different lives, right, and storylines flow all at the same time without the audience being confused. We're able to follow everything as much as possible. Of course, there are certain things that were just rushed a little bit, but we have to understand that there's only so many episodes per season. There's only so much time that you have. So being very selective in discussing what are the critical points that we need to discuss. With Method Man and his brother, we have to show that quickly. There's only so much we can go into depth about without feeling like we're getting off track from the subject of the episode, which is basically the business behind everything. Okay, so now that we have that, we're understanding the business and everything, there is this moment of everybody moving at the same time. As Bobby mentioned, all of the pieces in chess must move together in unison. And everybody's moving in a certain way that doesn't need Bobby's 100% guidance. When Gary had his moment with the phone operator, he handled that in the way that he best knew how. You get what I mean? We have Divine doing things the best way that he knows how. Everybody is moving forward. Power is getting equipment. You know, Cherie and Dennis are having their hardships, but they're working it out. Everybody's moving in the same direction. And now that we have all of the focus in the same direction, we see how things worked out. It was beautiful to see the steps and all of the struggles for the creation of the artwork, the idea. And if you would have brought all of that in season 1, people who are unfamiliar with Wu-Tang's development, it would have been confusing, right? Because it's just like, who made the logo? And I thought this person's name was this, and now it's that. I'm confused. So what I've been saying since season 1 is they want to develop this for people who are of a certain age, or people who have never heard of the Wu-Tang Clan. You want to be as vivid as possible so everybody can develop an emotional connection, for one, with what they're rapping about, who they are, where they're from. Everything ties together. You have to have an emotional connection with your audience, and you see the growth. You see it all. It's just like a blossom. You slowly seeing that flower blossom, and you're seeing the beauty behind it all. But I thought this episode was I thought it was wonderful, and I can't wait to see what's next. Another thing is them learning as they go. You think you have everything prepared so far as contracts and Vine learning about pro forma and learning what that is. But the moment in the situation of learning, which is what everybody goes through. I don't care if you're studying to be a dentist, a doctor, a hairdresser, a construction work, whatever that you're doing, a lawyer. There are moments in time where you learn about something in the moment. And it's frustrating, and that, oh man, I have to learn this right now. But that's just life. The hard work in developing the tape and all of the blood, sweat, and tears that went into the tape, and then speaking with Chris and him saying, this is great, but the levels are low. That is that moment of frustration, and this is something that we're learning on the spot. And then learning that they have to have something else in order to move forward. That's just in every profession. And them showing that, okay, now that we know the levels are low, instead of griping about it and being pissed off, we don't have a choice but to go to the studio or get it mastered at the studio. We don't have a choice. If this is what we want, this is what we need, we need it. And Power recognized that. He recognized that if I'm all in, you have to make sacrifices. Everybody in the entire episode has made so many sacrifices, but they're moving in unison because they all share the same desire to share their artistry. Vine and Power sharing their art, which is business, which is thinking, logical thinking, critical thinking. They are all moving as one. They all have their roles, as Bobby was saying, just like in an orchestra. Everybody has their piece. Everybody has their purpose. Those resistant moments from Quan and everybody, we don't need to sign this contract, and I don't want to, and you talking about 5 years. But when Gary said, look, they've been through this. They've been through this emotional warfare. They're doing what's best for everybody because we all share the same dream. And it's this epiphany of, well, dang, he's right. And then if we don't move forward with this, what else are we going to do? Are we going to fall right back into the same living habits as we did before and the same stuff that didn't get us anywhere? Or are we just going to tough this out and keep going? The exhaustion when Dennis and Bobby woke up and the apartment was a mess and he still got to get up and talk with Shawnee, and everybody's tired. Everybody's exhausted. And I've said this with every review. If anything, the one thing that I would hope somebody would take from this series is passion, development, and patience. If you want it bad enough, you're gonna do what you have to do in order to get it done. And I think this is what this series is showing us, that business is important, contracts is important, making sure that you're not being taken advantage of, finances are important, knowledge is important, no matter what you do. There's always fine print with everything. I hope that you enjoyed this review. In the meantime, make sure that you check out some of those shows in the pinned comments and also some comedic videos that I have posted within the last 3 days. Let me know what you think. And if you're just tuning in and you want to binge watch, I have season 1 listed below so you can catch up. All right. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Bye.